The Red Veil wasn't just forbidden, it was a place no one returned from. But for Captain Riker and his crew, the promise of untold riches was worth the risk. The ship Iron Reaper drifted at the edge of the Red Veil, its steel hull groaning under the strain of the gravitational forces that rippled like silent waves. Before the crew stretched an endless expanse of deep crimson mist, space warped and twisted, making it impossible to see beyond. It was said that once a ship crossed into the veil, nothing ever came back, not a message, not debris, not even a trace. But Captain Riker stood firm on the command deck, his eyes locked on the swirling void. A scar traced down the left side of his face, a remnant of past mistakes, but his gaze was unwavering. This was his shot, their shot, at changing everything. "We've come this far," Riker said, his voice calm but edged with tension. "We go through." The crew exchanged nervous glances. Ilara, the ship's engineer, clutched a silver pendant around her neck, her knuckles white. Talon, the ship's weapons expert, smirked, but even he couldn't mask the unease in his eyes. "No one's crossed the veil and lived, Captain," Ilara warned, her voice trembling. Riker turned to her, softening for just a moment. "No one brave enough. Besides, we're not coming back empty-handed. There's something in there. I feel it." Talon let out a low chuckle. "Or we're about to be vaporized." The ship inched forward, its engines groaning as they pushed through the mist. The moment they crossed the invisible threshold, a chilling silence fell. All external noise vanished. No radio signals, no readings. Just an endless, suffocating stillness. The mist outside parted, revealing the unthinkable. A city. Floating in the emptiness of space. It was massive, towers of shimmering metal stretched upwards, lights flickering as if the place still breathed. The structures were unlike anything the crew had seen before, crafted from materials that glowed faintly with an otherworldly hue. It looked untouched. Pristine. "How is this even possible?" Ilara whispered, leaning closer to the viewport. "A ghost city," Talon muttered, his bravado faltering. Riker's heart pounded. "Prep the landing gear. We're going in." But then, as the Iron Reaper hovered closer, something flickered deep within the city, a pulsing light. And for a split second, Riker could have sworn he saw shadows moving between the towers. The ship's systems flickered. A strange signal began to hum through the controls, growing louder and louder until it became a deafening roar. Then, silence again. The light inside the city grew brighter, almost like it was waiting. "This isn't abandoned," Ilara whispered, her voice hollow. "No," Riker replied, his throat dry. "It's been expecting us." The Iron Reaper touched down on an open platform at the city's edge. Its metallic legs creaked as they settled against the surface, but the platform held, almost as if it had been designed for them. The crew gathered at the ship's hatch, each one suited up in reinforced gear. Captain Riker stood at the front, his helmet clasped under one arm, staring at the towering structures ahead. The city shimmered in shades of silver and deep blue, with sleek towers spiraling into the dark sky. "Oxygen levels?" Riker asked. Ilara scanned her wrist device. "Breathable, but there's something odd. It's like the air is too perfect, engineered." Riker nodded. "Helmets off. We'll need to feel the place." The hatch hissed open, releasing a cloud of steam as the crew stepped onto the platform. The surface beneath their boots was smooth, almost liquid in texture, but solid. No dust, no decay, just a city frozen in time. Talon rested his hand on the grip of his blaster, eyes darting around. "So, who built this? And where the hell are they?" They walked through vast, empty streets, the sound of their footsteps echoing against towering structures. There were signs of life, benches, market stalls, even crystalline fountains, but not a single being in sight. They reached a plaza, its center dominated by a massive obelisk. Symbols pulsed across its surface, forming patterns that shifted like they were alive. "Elara, can you make sense of that?" Riker asked, pointing to the obelisk. She approached it cautiously, brushing her fingers against the surface. Instantly, the symbols swirled, rearranging themselves into a language she could almost understand. "It's welcoming us," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Or warning us." Suddenly, a low hum echoed through the plaza. The crew spun around, weapons drawn, as thin beams of light began to form around them. Slowly, shapes emerged, figures cloaked in silver armor, their faces hidden behind smooth, expressionless masks. They stood silently, forming a circle around the crew. "Lower your weapons," Riker commanded, raising his hands. "We're not here to fight." But the figures didn't respond. Instead, one of them stepped forward, its mask shifting to reveal a translucent face beneath, almost human, but not quite. Its eyes glowed faintly. "You do not belong here," it spoke in a soft, melodic tone. Riker took a cautious step forward. "We're explorers. We didn't come to cause harm." "Who are you?" The figure tilted its head. "We are the Watchers. This place is not meant for your kind." Elara frowned. "Then why let us in?" The Watcher paused before answering. "Because it has chosen you." Before Riker could respond, the obelisk behind them glowed brighter, and beams of light shot out, scanning each crew member. Riker felt a searing heat in his chest, but it wasn't painful, it was as if something was searching him. The Watcher turned its gaze directly to Riker. "You carry the key. The veil opened for you." "What key?" Riker demanded, heart racing. But before the Watcher could respond, a deep rumble echoed from beneath the city. The ground trembled as distant structures began to shift, revealing massive tunnels beneath the surface. Talon gripped his blaster tighter. "I don't like this, Captain." The Watcher's face faded back into its mask. "You must decide, enter the heart of the city and uncover the truth, or leave now. But know this, once you go deeper, there is no turning back." Riker exchanged glances with Elara and Talon. The decision weighed heavy, but curiosity burned brighter. "We didn't come all this way to turn back now," Riker said firmly. "Lead the way." The Watchers silently parted, creating a path toward the dark tunnels. As they descended into the depths, none of them realized the city had already begun reshaping itself around them, sealing their only way out. The descent into the tunnels was eerily silent. The metallic pathways spiraled downward, illuminated only by the faint glow of the city's walls. Every step echoed, as if the entire place was listening. Captain Riker led the way, his grip tightening on his blaster. Behind him, Elara scanned the walls, her device flickering with unstable readings. Talon took the rear, eyes constantly darting around. "The energy levels down here are off the charts," Elara murmured. "It's like the entire city is alive." Riker stopped at a massive circular door embedded in the tunnel's wall. Strange symbols spiraled across it, pulsating in rhythm with the faint hum beneath their feet. "Any guesses?" Riker asked, motioning to the door. Elara stepped forward, tracing the symbols with her fingers. Suddenly, the markings lit up, and the door began to open, its massive slabs sliding apart with a deep, resonating groan. Beyond the door was a vast chamber, a dome stretching high above, filled with floating crystalline structures that rotated slowly in the air. Streams of light connected them, creating a lattice that hummed with energy. At the center stood a pedestal, atop which floated a small, glowing orb, pulsating like a heartbeat. "That's gotta be it," Talon whispered. "The heart of this place." They approached cautiously, the orb's glow intensifying with each step. Riker could feel a strange pull towards it, like an invisible force guiding him. "Captain," Elara said hesitantly, I'm picking up something familiar. The energy signature, it's almost human. Riker furrowed his brow. That makes no sense. How could this be connected to us? Before anyone could respond, the chamber shifted. The floating crystals rearranged, forming towering figures, ghostly projections of beings draped in ancient armor. Their faces were obscured, but their presence was overwhelming. A deep, resonant voice filled the chamber. You have come seeking what was never meant to be found. Riker stepped forward. We crossed the veil by chance. We didn't come here to steal or destroy. We want to understand. One of the projections moved closer, its form towering above them. Long before your kind walked the stars, we built the veil to separate what must never meet. But now, the balance is fragile. Ilara's voice trembled. Balance between what? The projection gestured toward the orb. This is the anchor. It holds the veil in place, preventing what lies beyond from entering your realm. Talon's hand tightened around his blaster. And if it fails? The chamber darkened, and for a moment, the crew saw a terrifying glimpse, a swirling mass of shadows beyond the veil, clawing and writhing, desperate to break through. The voice continued, the veil is weakening. And now, you have been chosen to decide its fate. The orb floated higher, beams of light extending from it toward Riker. He felt a burning sensation in his chest, the same place where the obelisk had scanned him earlier. Captain! Ilara shouted, but Riker raised a hand. He could hear whispers, not in his ears but inside his mind, voices from countless civilizations that had faced the veil before. Memories, warnings, and choices, all flooding into him. The voice spoke again. You carry the key, Riker. You can restore the veil, or break it, releasing what lies beyond. The weight of the decision crushed him. Why me? I'm just a pirate. I'm no savior. The projection's form flickered. Sometimes, it is the lost who find the right path. A deep rumble echoed through the chamber. The crystalline structures began to fracture, and the shadows beyond the veil grew more violent. Time was running out. Captain, we need to decide, now. Talon yelled. Riker stared at the glowing orb, his hands trembling. Every instinct screamed to run, to leave this cursed place. But deep down, he knew there was no turning back. With a deep breath, he reached out, his fingers inches from the orb. Suddenly, a sharp voice echoed through the chamber, familiar, but impossible. Don't do it, Riker. The crew spun around. Standing at the entrance to the chamber was a figure none of them expected, Riker's younger brother, Dax, who had been lost in a space battle years ago. But how? Dax's form flickered like a projection, but his eyes were filled with fear. You don't understand what you're about to unleash. Riker's heart pounded. Dax? How are you here? Dax's image stepped forward, glitching slightly. I was pulled into the veil when my ship was destroyed. It doesn't just separate space, it traps souls, memories. This place twists everything. The choice isn't as simple as they make it seem. Riker's hand wavered, caught between saving countless worlds or risking everything for a truth he didn't fully understand. The orb pulsed, waiting for his decision. The chamber crackled with energy, the swirling shadows beyond the veil growing fiercer. Captain Riker stood frozen, his hand hovering inches from the glowing orb. The image of his lost brother, Dax, flickered before him, half real, half ghost. Dax, how is this possible? Riker's voice trembled, a mix of disbelief and hope. Dax's form shimmered as though struggling to hold itself together. This place doesn't follow the rules, you know. Time, space, life, death, they blur here. I've been trapped beyond the veil since the battle. But now, I found a way to warn you. Ilara and Talon exchanged a glance, their weapons lowered, but tension hung thick in the air. If this is real, Riker asked, then what's the truth? What's really beyond the veil? Dax hesitated, his image flickering faster. The veil wasn't built just to keep those shadows out, it was built to keep something far worse in. A deep tremor shook the chamber. Cracks spread across the crystalline pillars, releasing beams of chaotic light. The floating orb pulsed urgently, as if demanding Riker's decision. "We don't have time for riddles," Talon barked. "Captain, we either seal this thing or we're all dead." Ilara, still scanning with her device, suddenly gasped. "Captain. I think Dax is right. The energy readings, they're layered. It's not just holding something back, it's a prison." Riker's mind raced. "So, if I restore the veil?" Dax's voice cracked, his image faltering. "You'll lock me and countless others in here forever. But if you break it?" Before he could finish, a massive shadow clawed its way through the thinning barrier, its form formless but terrifying. It let out a deafening screech, shaking the very walls of the chamber. "Make a choice," the projection boomed, its ancient voice echoing through the chaos. Riker's heart twisted. "I can't lose you again, Dax." Dax's eyes softened. "It's not about me, Riker. You have to think bigger. Do what's right." The shadows lunged forward, their claws inches from breaching the chamber. Riker gritted his teeth and slammed his hand onto the orb. A blinding light exploded from the pedestal, sending shockwaves through the chamber. The shadows recoiled, shrieking in agony as beams of pure energy lashed out, sealing the cracks in the veil. But something was wrong. Instead of calming, the orb's glow intensified, growing unstable. Ilara's eyes widened. "Captain. It's overloading. If it explodes, it'll take this entire sector with it." Riker's pulse raced. "There has to be a failsafe." Dax's fading form reached out. "The anchor can't be stabilized from here. You need to sever its core link, but that means someone has to stay behind to do it manually." A heavy silence fell over the crew. Talon stepped forward. "I'll do it. You've got a family, Riker. Let me." But Riker shook his head. "No. This is my burden." Suddenly, Dax's form solidified for a brief moment. "You don't have to. I'm already trapped here. Let me finish this." Riker's throat tightened. "Dax, Dax gave a weak smile. "You saved me once. Let me return the favor." With a surge of energy, Dax reached into the orb, his form merging with its light. The chamber vibrated violently as the orb's unstable energy calmed, its glow softening. The projections around them spoke in unison. "The balance is restored." The crystalline structures reassembled, the chamber's tremors fading. The veil sealed shut once more. But Dax was gone. The crew stood in silence, the weight of what had transpired heavy on their shoulders. Ilara placed a hand on Riker's shoulder. "He made the ultimate sacrifice." Riker clenched his fists. "He deserved better." The ancient voice returned, softer now. "The veil remembers those who choose selflessness. Dax's essence will not be lost." A single shard of the orb floated down to Riker, glowing faintly. He grasped it, feeling a gentle warmth, Dax's lingering presence. "Come on," Talon said quietly. "Let's get out of here." They retraced their path, the tunnels now calm, leading them back to the surface. As they boarded their ship and left the ancient city behind, Riker stared at the shard in his hand, vowing never to forget the price paid to save their universe. But as the ship sailed through the dark expanse, Ilara's scanner began flickering again, weak, fragmented signals. From beyond the veil. The vastness of space stretched endlessly outside the viewport as the Valiant drifted through the star-speckled void. Inside, the mood was somber. Captain Riker sat in his quarters, the shard from the veil resting on the table before him. Its faint glow pulsed like a heartbeat, steady, alive, and haunting. A soft chime echoed as the door slid open. Elara stepped in, holding a data pad. "I've run another scan on the shard," she began hesitantly, "and there's something strange. It's not just a remnant of the veil. It's transmitting." Riker's head shot up. Transmitting? From where? Elara sat across from him, her expression grave. "Beyond the veil. Weak, fragmented signals, but they're there. It's like Dax is still reaching out." The hope Riker had buried deep surged forward, mingling with dread. "If he's alive." Elara cut in, "or it could be something else. We don't know what's on the other side." Before Riker could respond, the ship's intercom buzzed. Talon's voice crackled through. "Captain, you better get up here. We've got company." In the command deck, the holographic display showed a fleet approaching, sleek ships with dark hulls and glowing crimson symbols. Riker frowned. "I don't recognize that insignia." Talon's jaw tightened. "They came out of nowhere, no warp signature, no broadcast. It's like they just appeared." Elara's console beeped urgently. "They're locking weapons." Before anyone could react, the lead ship hailed them. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a figure cloaked in dark armor, his face obscured by a metallic mask. "Captain Riker," the figure spoke with a hollow, mechanical voice, "you've tampered with forces you don't understand. Surrender the shard, or face annihilation." Riker squared his shoulders. "Who are you?" The figure tilted his head. "We are the Sentinels. Guardians of the Veil for millennia. Your meddling has weakened the barrier. We've come to ensure the balance remains, by any means necessary." Talon growled. "Funny way of keeping balance. First you threaten us, then demand the shard?" The Sentinel leaned forward. "That shard is a beacon. It calls to what lies beyond. If left unchecked, it will tear open the veil from the inside." Riker's mind raced. If the shard was truly a beacon, was Dax's signal real, or a trap? He clenched his fists. "We're not handing it over. There's someone important, trapped beyond the veil. I won't abandon him." A heavy silence followed. The Sentinel's voice darkened. "Then you leave us no choice." The screen went black as warning alarms blared throughout the ship. "Evasive maneuvers." Riker barked. The Valiant swerved as plasma bolts lit up the void, narrowly missing them. Talon worked the controls, weaving between blasts, while Elara furiously tapped at her console. "I'm scrambling their targeting systems, but it won't hold for long," she shouted. A sudden jolt shook the ship. One of the enemy blasts had grazed the starboard side. "Shields down to 60%. Talon reported. Riker's eyes darted to the shard on his console. It now pulsed faster, reacting to the chaos around it. Elara's eyes widened. "Captain, the shard, it's generating energy. Massive amounts." Before Riker could speak, the shard lifted off the console, hovering midair, glowing brighter than ever. A wave of energy burst outward, knocking everyone to the floor. The next moment, a voice filled the deck, familiar yet distorted. "Riker, help me." It was Dax. But his voice was layered, as if something darker lurked beneath it. Elara scrambled to her feet. "That's not just Dax. There's something else in there." Riker's heart sank. "A parasite?" "Or worse," Elara whispered. The shard's glow intensified, and in a flash, the Valiant vanished, ripped from normal space. Moments later, the crew found themselves floating in an ethereal void. Stars shimmered around them, but everything felt wrong. Shapes twisted in the distance, impossible geometries bending space and time. Talon's voice was shaky. Where are we? Ilara's readings confirmed their worst fear. We're inside the Veil. Before them, a massive structure floated, a shattered cathedral-like construct, its pieces suspended in the void. At its core, a figure hovered, half human, half shadow. Riker's breath caught. Dax? The figure turned, its features flickering between Dax's familiar face and something monstrous. You shouldn't have come here, brother, the voice echoed, layered with darkness. The crew stood paralyzed. The fracture between hope and horror had just begun. The crew of the Valiant stood in stunned silence as the figure before them flickered, half Dax, half something else. The ship's sensors struggled to make sense of the readings, but Ilara's voice cut through the confusion. Captain, this isn't just Dax, this is the entity beyond the Veil. The one the Sentinels warned us about. The flickering figure's eyes locked onto Riker, its voice cold and distorted. You should never have tried to rescue me, Riker. You've come too far, and now. The form of Dax twisted, the human features distorting into something more sinister, a mixture of shadows and broken pieces of memories. Riker's heart pounded in his chest. What happened to you? He asked, his voice cracking with emotion. I've been searching for you for years, and now you're. The figure's laughter echoed through the void, hollow and chilling. You should never have crossed the Veil. I warned you. But now, there's no turning back. We are one, Riker. You and I. Ilara stepped forward, her eyes filled with dread but determination. Captain, you need to let go. This isn't Dax anymore. It's something else, something darker. Talon, gripping the edge of a console, spoke through clenched teeth. We can't stay here. We have to get out of the Veil before it pulls us all in. Riker ignored them for a moment, focusing on the flickering image of his brother. I can't leave you like this, Dax. I won't abandon you again. The creature that was once Dax stepped forward, its form distorting even further. You don't understand. The Veil doesn't just trap you, Riker. It transforms you. It gives you power. Power beyond your comprehension. The cruise ship groaned as if it, too, was under pressure. The entire structure around them was shifting, twisting in on itself as the fragments of the shattered cathedral seemed to move in rhythm with the creature's voice. Ilara's voice broke through the building chaos. Captain, we need to leave. The Veil isn't just a place, it's a prison. It's not just Dax you're facing. It's whatever the Veil has become. The ground beneath their feet trembled. Talon shouted over the rumbling noise. The ship is pulling us in. The energy from that thing is disrupting the systems. But Riker couldn't tear his eyes away from the figure. Dax. Suddenly, the air around them seemed to shimmer. The shadows deepened, and from the corners of the void, new shapes began to emerge, grotesque, incomprehensible beings, twisted and malformed. They surrounded the crew, their presence suffocating. Riker's mind raced. They were trapped. We're not going to make it out of here, are we? Talon said, his voice low, the fear creeping in. Ilara's face was pale as she turned toward Riker. The only way out is to sever the connection. The Veil is feeding off the shard. You have to destroy it. Riker glanced at the shard, it pulsed violently, its energy flaring with each beat, as if it were alive. But if we destroy it, we lose any chance of rescuing Dax. We might never escape. The creature that was once his brother laughed, and the sound rang through the ship like a twisted melody. You think you can escape me? The Veil is inescapable. You will never return to your reality. You will remain here, forever. The room seemed to close in on Riker as the walls of the shattered cathedral pulsed with an otherworldly rhythm. The ship's systems continued to flicker, unable to hold against the overwhelming force of the energy being channeled through the shard. For a brief moment, Riker saw a flicker of Dax's old face, the face of his brother, the one he had fought to save for so long. A surge of emotion overwhelmed him, and he took a step toward the figure. "Dax, don't you recognize me?" But the figure responded with only cold, hollow eyes. "I don't need recognition, Riker. The veil has shown me something far beyond what you understand. The price of salvation is steep." Elara grabbed Riker's arm, pulling him back. "We can't save him if we're dead." The realization struck Riker like a blow. He couldn't save Dax, not this way, not if he remained here, bound to the dark forces that had corrupted him. With a heavy heart, he pulled away from the vision of his brother and turned to Elara. "You're right. We need to destroy the shard." Talon was already at the controls, fighting against the ship's systems that seemed to be malfunctioning under the strain. "I'm not sure how much longer we've got." Riker made his decision. "Elara, take the shard. It's the only way. We have to destroy it now." As Elara reached for the shard, a violent wave of energy surged toward her. "It's fighting us," she shouted. The ship shook violently, and the room around them began to distort. The walls warped as if reality itself was bending. Through the chaos, Riker heard Dax's voice, barely a whisper now, calling to him one last time. "Brother, don't." But it was too late. Elara slammed the shard into the control panel, and a shockwave of energy burst forth, shattering the fragile space around them. Everything went black. The void was cold and silent. When Riker's eyes opened, he didn't recognize where he was. The ship was gone, and so were the twisted creatures, the shadows of his brother, and the veil. The only thing left was the eerie quiet, as if the universe itself had paused. He stood alone in a dark expanse, the remnants of the ship's destruction fading behind him. His mind was racing, trying to piece together what had just happened. Had they escaped? Had the shard been destroyed? Was Dax still out there? Then, a faint, shimmering light appeared in the distance, a beacon in the darkness. With every step Riker took toward it, the air seemed to clear, and the weight on his chest lightened. But with each movement, the haunting memory of Dax, twisted and corrupted, tugged at him like an invisible chain. As Riker approached the light, a figure slowly emerged from the shadows, tall and regal, with an aura of power. The figure's face was obscured, but the silhouette was unmistakable. It was Dax. Or what remained of him. Dax? Riker's voice trembled. The figure raised its head, revealing not his brother's face, but something far colder, an empty void where his eyes should have been. The air around them seemed to shimmer, and Riker's heart skipped a beat as the being spoke, its voice both distant and near. "You should not have come here, Riker. You should have let go, like everyone else. No, this isn't you. You're still in there, I know it. I couldn't leave you behind." Riker's hands trembled, but he stepped forward, hoping for a flicker of recognition, a sign that his brother was still alive. The figure tilted its head, a strange sadness in its expression. "I'm beyond saving now, Riker. What I've become, it is no longer a part of you. You must move on. Let go." The voice was distorted, but Riker could hear the faintest echo of his brother's old tone. "No. I won't let go, Dax. I'm here for you. I promised I'd find you, and I will bring you home." But the figure shook its head slowly. "You don't understand, Riker. The veil has taken everything. It doesn't just consume you, it remakes you. You cannot bring me back. Not anymore." Riker's chest tightened, and a flood of emotions surged within him, regret, guilt, love, and loss. His mind raced through the years of searching, of fighting for a chance to find Dax, to save him. But what if the price for saving him was too high? The being before him stepped back, fading into the light. "This is where you must choose, Riker. You can stay here with me in the dark, lost and bound to the veil forever, or you can return and face what you've left behind. The decision is yours." "I can't leave you here," Riker cried, his voice breaking. "Please, come back. Please." The light around the figure pulsed, and for a moment, Riker saw a glimpse of Dax's old face, young, strong, and full of life. It was fleeting, but enough to tear Riker's heart wide open. But just as quickly, it was gone. The form twisted and faded again, becoming more and more alien. "You must choose now, Riker." Riker closed his eyes, his mind racing, the weight of his decision pressing down on him like a storm. He knew the answer deep down, the only answer that could give him peace. If he stayed, he would be forever trapped in this void, haunted by the ghost of what was. But if he left, if he moved forward, he would lose his brother forever. But the truth was clear, Dax wasn't lost because of the veil. He had become part of it, and Riker couldn't keep holding on to something that no longer existed. Tears blurred his vision as he whispered, "I love you, Dax. I always will." With one final breath, Riker turned away from the fading figure. His steps felt heavy, but there was a sense of resolve in his heart. He didn't know what lay ahead, but he had to move on. He had to honor the memory of his brother, not by holding on to the past, but by moving forward, by making a life worth living. The light enveloped him, and as it did, he felt a warmth spread through his chest. He wasn't sure if it was the light or just his own heart, but something told him that Dax, in some form, was at peace.